Hello, right, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about Yoast SEO. So I've had a couple of questions recently about customers that are using Yoast, or they don't realise that they're using Yoast. They have it installed on their website, have seen the features and the boxes to fill in and not really sure how best to deal with them. So I'm just going to go through what it is and what you should be looking out for, basically. So I say Yoast is a plugin, a bit of software that's installed on WordPress websites that we typically build, and it is designed to help you write SEO friendly pages and blog posts and things like that. And what it does is it makes a few changes to the normal WordPress interface, adds a few fields to fill in that help you along with the SEO process. So I'm just going to sort of show you an example here. So I've got my stupid blog that I've just started writing, and you'll know if you are using Yoast a couple of ways. Is see over here, this little Y logo, Yogo, is the Yoast logo, if you recognize that in the publish panel, and also this bit at the top here. It's got that logo again and a little dot, which will change colour when we start filling it in according to how successful it thinks our SEO efforts are. So this up here should be familiar. It's the same as if you're writing any page or post. You go into any page or post and you want to start looking at it in terms of SEO and you have Yoast installed. You scroll down a little bit and you'll have this section here, Yoast SEO. And I'm just going to show you how to fill this in to best effect. So the first thing you need to do is enter a focus keyword. What a focus keyword is the phrase that you want this page or blog post or whatever to appear for in the search results. So I just started writing some gibberish about oranges. So let's say I want this to show up when people search for oranges. Great, so cool. So pop that in there, and that just helps the plugin get a little bit of context. It'll start analysing the content and seeing how good a blog post is this for that search. So straight away, you can see this little dot at the top's turned red. So it's deemed it to be not a very good blog so far. And so what it'll do, if I scroll down a little further underneath the focus keyword, I've got all of these little pointers here. They are in traffic light colours. The green things are things that it's decided I've done successfully. The orange things are things that are sort of medium things, something that I could give a little bit of attention to or improve. And the red things it sees that I've done very poorly. So very important when you're looking at this, I would say, is that you mustn't treat the Yoast recommendations as the gospel. It's very easy to sort of slip into this thing to just try and optimize all of your posts to try and get all of these little dots to turn green, and in the process of doing it, losing all of the meaning in your page. It'll just turn into keyword phrases and dross that's not readable and not usable by a typical person on your website. But absolutely, first and foremost, fundamental thing needs to be that your page needs to be readable, usable, and get the message across that you're trying to get across. Secondary consideration needs to be SEO. I really can't emphasize that enough. But this is there to give us a little helping hand. Now we've got our page. It says what we want it to say. We want to make a few little tweaks to improve the SEO, so we link down here. So these are the kinds of things it's going to tell us to do. So I'll just run through these kind of recommendations and sort of give you a little bit of a sort of broader description of what they are. So it will always suggest a minimum of 300 words. That does come from sort of official backing. There is a lot of weight to that argument. It's sort of suggested that if you've only got a sentence of copy while you're creating a unique page for it, the page needs to have enough information on there to make it worth visiting. So it typically is always going to suggest a 300 word minimum there. So that's something to think about. But again, don't lean on it too heavy. If you think that your page is perfect as it is and actually it's much shorter than that, then ignore it and move on. When here it's talking about meta description, this you see up here, this is what your page will look like when it shows up in the Google results. We can edit this. So we can actually, if you click on the edit snippet, we can change the title. It'll automatically suggest the title based on the title of the blog post and a few settings you've got on this, but you can actually change things in here. So if I want to say oranges are lovely, and you can see this at the bottom, this bar that is orange. The reason for that is because it wants us to have a certain length of title. There's a sweet spot for title. Again, it's not something that you need to kind of stick to too much, but if I carry on writing eventually we'll turn green because we've reached the sort of word count that's going to be good. So what it's saying basically is you've got opportunity here to get some keywordy stuff in there, and why not take advantage of it? And then eventually, if you'll get to a point where it's too much, because when you get up to a certain number of words, the Google result will just truncate it and chop it off anyway. So you don't want to write anything that's too long. So that's for your title. And then your description, automatically the description is going to just pick up the first few words in your post or page and just write it directly into there. That might be fine, but what typically you'll see is that it'll just pick up a certain number of characters and then stop. So it'll just get partway through a sentence, and so it doesn't read as nicely as it might do. So you have an opportunity here to perhaps, what I might typically do is just take that little bit of text, paste it in here, and then maybe start editing it a little bit. And you can change the shape of it. You might, the plugin will suggest that you should get the keyword as early as possible in the title and description. So having that as the first word in there is perhaps a good thing, and that sort of thing. But so there's a couple of orange, whatever, to fill that in. So you can see we've done some good stuff there on the title and description, and our little red traffic light is now turned to amber. So we've obviously made some meaningful improvements to that particular page. So we talked about the word count. That would get us higher up again. No images appear in the page. Again, just good practice really. Mix the media on your page is just, I would say, a general good thing for usability, for the user experience. People don't want to be confronted with huge blocks of impenetrable text, and breaking things up with images is a good thing, and those images should be relevant. So if I put a photograph of an orange in there, that would help. And when you add a photograph, you get to set the alt text as well. So I'm going to be extremely naughty and just nick a picture of orange off Google, which of course you should never do, but just for the sakes of this video, I'm just going to do that, and then I can pop that up here. I can show you that we're just going to have an impact as well. So I'm going to stick that in there, upload, get my orange, and then it's very important when you're adding images into here, if you need to type something into the alt text. The alt text is a great thing for SEO because it describes what the picture is. Google isn't necessarily going to know that that's an orange, and it's also good for usability. If people are using screen readers, people who are visually impaired will have a text description of what that is. So oranges, of course. So stick that in there. So now I think I've changed that to that there. Then other things it's typically going to want you to do: links in the page, either links from this to another page on my website or another blog post, or even an external link. Not read other stuff about oranges. So it's a good idea to have links generally on pages. A web page is not like a static standalone thing. When somebody lands on your website, ideally, if they're coming in to read a blog, you might want to get them to read a few others, eventually maybe make the transition from the blog into your services pages and things like that. So having as many links through your site as possible is going to be really great for doing that. But it also helps Google kind of get a feel for how people are moving around your site as well. So let's say, is there such a thing as the Orange Society? I'm going to end up linking to some the Orange Order. Let's say we want to link to the Orange Order. I am in no way affiliated with the Orange Order, but let's do that. So now we've got a link in there as well. So we're climbing the ranks now. Let's just for relentless pursuit of as many green dots as possible, put some more text in there to try and fulfill the 300 word requirement. Hello again. So let's do that. Let's pop that down here. Now you can see. Now this is a great example really of why you shouldn't sort of go too heavy on following, and believing on what Yoast is telling you, because this, to any human being, is an awful blog post. It makes no sense. It's just absolute gibberish. 50% of it's plagiarized from Wikipedia. It doesn't tell you anything. But I've got a green dot, so brilliant. So the rules as set out by Yoast SEO should be definitely treated as secondary to just common sense. I can see you're linking to another page with the focus keyword you want this page to rank for. So that's a good pointer there. So I'm linking to that page about the Orange Order. That's a competitor page. Should I really be linking to that? That's something to think about. But if it's relevant, then yes, I do. The slug for the page. By slug, it means the bit, the actual address. So that you have your website address / that bit. And it says it contains a stop word, which is sort of SEO terminology for a particular sort of joining words and things like that. You can click on the stop. If it's giving you that warning, you can click on that link to read more about it. You're getting pretty technical at that point, really. And the other suggestion, which is a good one actually, is to think about how headings incorporate your chosen phrases and stuff as well. So that's essentially it on the SEO side. The other side of what Yoast does is it gives us information about readability. Quite rightly in this case, it's told me that this page is very poor readability. Basically, it will take the blog post and run a check against a reading, sort of almost like a reading age scale, whether it's very difficult or very easy to read. Now, I again, like the SEO stuff, I think chasing the green dot is overrated. Depending on your audience may be more or less technical. If you're writing about a specialist niche and you want to use jargon that's appropriate for that, then obviously you're going to have a lower readability score. However, if you want something that is very broadly accessible to an extremely broad age range who may not be very particularly well educated or anything like that, then you could perhaps lean on the readability indicator to make sure that you're scoring well on there, because you know that people who perhaps not such good readers and things like that have a better chance of understanding your content. So that's what that is. And if you're worried, you're getting a low score there, then perhaps look at sort of more complicated words, long sentences, things like that, and maybe try and make it a little bit more plain English. If I can talk. Right. So I think that that's all I need to tell you about Yoast SEO. So that's how to use it when you write a new page, or you can go into any existing pages and posts. hopefully now you'll be able to do that with SEO in mind and pick up a few tweaks to your existing content to just make it perform that little bit better in the search engines. Thanks a lot. Bye.